Okay, guys, we've been having a lot of technical difficulties, but I'm very much hoping that this is working now. And we're going to try it one more time. So now we've got to see if we can get everybody else back in. Okay. Let's see if we can do this again. Everything is dropped, but we're going to see if we can get everybody back in. Oh, yay! Brooke can see in here. Oh, Brooke, but you could see in here before. I hope everybody else can see in here now. Yay! Carol can see. Tamara can see. Julie can see. Julie, can you see? Okay, tomorrow we're not going to take a risk and switch on your screen until the end because maybe that's messing it up somehow. Okay, hey Ashley, hey Shannon, hey Stephanie, hey Katie, hey Tanya, hey Ginny, hey Julie. I'm so happy everybody can see it here. Woo woo! We fixed it. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Hi everyone. I'm going to give it 2 minutes for us to just update on Facebook. Tomorrow, if you could be so kind as to update on Facebook that we had some technical difficulties, but we are back and we're going to start in about 2 minutes. So meanwhile, if everybody could just tell us, how old are your children? What kind of sibling rivalry are you struggling with right now? What are the big, what are the big ones? And where in the world you're from? That's also very fascinating. Hi, Danny. Yes, okay. Tanya, this worked in your favor. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Now, guys, soon I'm going to try and share my screen, and I've got some lovely slides prepared for you, but I really hope that doesn't mess with our presentation. Okay, so everyone, tell me, how old are your children? Where in the world you're from? What are their biggest fights right now? Tanya, 4, 2.5, and 10 months. Hey, Melissa, you're in. I'm so glad. Tomorrow, it might be worth sending out a quick email with the the emergency link. If you think that's a good idea. I don't know if people are not managing to come in, but I think everyone's managing now. We've got 41 people here, and that number is growing. Okay. Melissa, 7 and 6. Danny has a 2-year-old and 1 on the way. He's due next month. I'm very nervous. Danny, congratulations. That's so exciting. Lindsay, I have a 2 and 4-year-old girls. Little sibling is constantly bothering the older sister. Okay. Tanu, 5 and 2. Stephanie, 4-year-old and 2-year-old. Sounds physical intensity is biggest challenge. Yeah, okay, I hear that. Hi, Leah, 3 and 5. Sibling rivalry, just jealous of both needing me at the same time. Very aggressive 5-year-old abuses my 3-year-old. That's so hard, Leah. We'll talk about that. Carrie, 9 and 6. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Emily, 7, 5 and 2. Nikki, 2 and 5. Judith, 4, 7 and 9. Sabrina, 5 and 2. From Oregon, hi. Carol from Michigan. Daughter is 17 months old. And Carol is a foster parent. Hey, Carol. And so at any moment, this little girl could have any number of siblings. Ginny, 3.5, 1.5. Oldest often doesn't want to let her sister have anything, even though she doesn't want to play with herself. So hogging things, not wanting to give the younger one. The fights are serious, silent but deadly, passive aggressive, I think it's called. Okay. Name calling, hitting, snatching. Yep. Okay. Judith from Canada. Susan, who has a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. Crystal, 4, 2. 2-year-old constantly antagonizes the 4-year-old. The only help I can find is for when the situation is reversed. Okay, Carissa, 4 years and 18 months. Yes, I hear you, Crystal, because it skews that it's the older child disturbing the younger child, right? That's the usual advice. Sibling rivalry and constant fighting in Northern California. Carrie, daughter who is older wants her own space. Sometimes little brother always wants to play. Morella, hi. from Romania, living in Austria, 2 a.m. Oh, wow, Mirella. I don't know if I should be flattered or chastise you and tell you to go to sleep. It might be more important. But thank you. Thank you so much for being here and welcome. Karen, 5 and 3 from New Zealand. Guys, we're here from all over the world. Katie, am I saying your name right? Katie? I'm not sure. I have 3.5 and 2, very spirited from New Zealand. Okay, and you also care for another 2.5-year-old. They fight over toys, and the older one hurts the younger one. Okay, so it looks like we're all in very good company. Okay, all of us here, myself included, have more than one child. Most of us under the ages of, I would say, 10 and down, and even 8 or 7 and down, right? Carrie says whining, not wanting to share. Rachel says 4 and a 2.5-year-old boy pushing, hitting, grabbing, teasing. Okay. Abra, with 3 kids, 4, 2, and 3 months. Congratulations! And the 4-year-old gets very upset. The 2-year-old ruins all her projects. That's the same gap that I have with my kids, 2 years between each. Okay, guys, so huge welcome. We have many hundreds of people registered for this webinar. So if you're watching the replay of this, then you should just know that it will feel like the live. You'll see the chat and all of that, but I can't obviously answer your questions live, but feel free, please, to pass them along to me via support@theparentingjunkie.com or on our free community Facebook group, which is called Present Play Pop-Up. We will link to that here. You're all invited there. That is a great community where we'll talk about all of this. But right now, I'm going to start without further delay. It's already 20 minutes after the time we wanted to start because of all the technical issues. If you have questions as I go along, if you have comments, please feel free to chat and comment. If you have questions that you want me to address, I'm going to be doing a Q&A at the end, so please stick around for that. I will address as many questions as I possibly can. And now I'm going to share my screen and do a little presentation. And please let me know if you can still hear me, okay? And can you still hear me? Just a few yeses would be great. Is that a no? Yes, those are yeses. Okay, the yeses are all coming in. Great. I know there's a slight delay, so I'm going to try and talk slowly and clearly. Please do alert me if anything is not resonating or is not clear. So guys, you are in the right place if you have young children and you'd like to encourage independent play and establish flow in your home life. If you struggle with sibling rivalry, with screen time addiction, with clinginess, and you want more meaningful play in your children's lives, and if you're sick of the fighting and hitting and you desperately want to raise friends for life. Okay, so hi, I am Avital. I'm a mother to 3 littles. I'm a mindful parenting coach, and I'm a childhood designer. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that I'd be teaching about Zen parenting and mindful relationships and independent play, I probably would not have believed you. This was the furthest thing from my mind. So there's one thing that you should know about me, which is that conscious parenting and playfulness do not come naturally to me. They say that we teach what we most need to learn, and that is definitely true for me. All of the research and work I do is primarily because I need it with my children and in my home. So I am not on any pedestal here or in any ivory tower. Here's what we're going to talk about and learn here today, okay? And this is a huge topic. So I'm going to try and give you as much of a jam-packed presentation as possible. But of course, I'm touching briefly on things that could each be a whole training in and of themselves. So we're going to talk about the 3 mindful steps we take to keep from pitting children against each other. We're going to talk about the surprising mindset shift that you must make to support your children's close relationship. We'll talk about the common oversight that nearly all of us make when trying to teach children to be kind to their siblings. We'll talk about how to create an environment that induces problem solving and empathy. And we'll talk about the truth about fairness and why we've been sabotaging it all along. Please stay with me because I have a really awesome gift for everyone here just for sticking around. I know it's not easy to stay on this training and I want to help you to stay. You don't want to miss this. It will be a really cool tool for your family. Okay, now is the time to be present. I know that we're in a multitasking environment. Facebook is here, email is here, the kids. please switch off your phone, close the door, take this time to really nourish yourself and your mind and make some deep resonating mindset shifts that will make a big difference in your family life. You owe that to yourself to really be present for the time that you've set aside. So if that means putting on the TV for the kids or making sure you have your water and snack now, I want to be here with you together. So I'm giving this webinar today because I believe that helping children to get along with siblings or with friends makes the world a better place. I know that's a bombastic statement right there, but I really do believe this, and I'll tell you why. We all want to make the world a better place, but most of us, when we have young children, are at home with our kids or at work and at home with our kids. And that's the place where we have, where we spend the majority of our energy, time, and resources. And that is the place where we have the most influence. Now, if we take all of our ambition and passion and drive that we're not putting out into our careers and put it into creating peaceful families, empathic families, then we are raising people who know how to get along with other people, how to be empathic and kind. That's the goal, that's the hope, right? None of us know what result we'll get, but this is the hope. And each adult that we raise that learned some skills, just some basic emotional health skills, is another adult who is more peaceful in the world. And that truly makes the world a better place. Now, I've learned all of this the hard way, and I'll tell you a little bit of a backstory about my personal family. And as I do, I want you to consider yours. This can be kind of the painful part of learning and growing because, we might not realize, each one of us here in this group might not realize just how deeply we are affected by our sibling relationships growing up, or by the close relationships we saw around us. We all know that our parents had a huge effect on us, right? We all know, but we maybe undervalue how pivotal and how key our sibling relationships were when we were growing up to who we became. So this is me and my sister, and I'm glad to say that I have a wonderful relationship with her today. I'm the youngest of 6. I'm really very grateful to be able to say that I actually have a wonderful relationship with each and every one of my siblings as adults. But feeling against each other, feeling competitive, feeling jealous, feeling just a disconnect, is something that it took me a long time to kind of heal from that, and her as well. And when I was pregnant with my second, I realized that this was a fear that I had. So I was worried about how jealousy, rivalry, and competition would impact my children as well. And I wanted to know, would they be friends or enemies? We all so much want for our children to be friends. Another theme that has come through in my family's history, and you might recognize this in your family's history, and if you're following along with the workbook, you might not be able to follow along quite as quickly as I'm going because there's a lot of reflection to do here. But you'll see that I'm really probing and asking you to think on your family history, to think on your relationships with your siblings growing up. Because when you think about your family history, often there's intergenerational pain, okay? The pain that happened between your parents and their siblings gets translated into the pain that happens between you and your siblings because we repeat parental patterns. So when there's favoring, when there's a competitive environment, all of those things can really pit our children against each other, really unwittingly. Often these things are kind of subconscious. We don't know we're doing them. Well, I realized that if I didn't make some majorly proactive steps to learning how to facilitate healthy sibling relationships, history would repeat itself. I had to make some major reflections about my own capacity to endure and understand conflict. This is one of the things, my parents are wonderful and I'm so grateful to them. I really am. They've given me so very much. But I never learned about conflict resolution. I never learned about emotional health and empathy and problem solving and all the things we're going to talk about here today. And is that something that you learned growing up? Comment here right now if you were taught in a constructive way how to manage conflict, how to manage emotional disconnection, how to manage fights, jealousy, competition, all of those things in a healthy way between siblings. I'd love to know how many of us were actually taught that. I knew what I didn't want, right? I knew that I didn't want constant tension and fighting and anger or even hatred. But what did healthy sibling relationships even look like, right? I didn't actually know what were the key components of that healthy relationship. I had to figure out another direction and another model. Okay, so I see many of you were not taught how to resolve conflicts, and we're going to talk soon about what usually happened instead. But maybe for the meantime, you could just reflect what happened when there was a conflict, right? What was the response? Was it shut down, right? Was it shut out? Was it punished? Was it ignored? Those are things that we have to ask ourselves. Okay, when I had my second child, I thought, here is my chance. And I began to really reflect on and study what drives sibling dynamics. And I spent a lot of time reconstructing my most basic belief system. I realized that I was holding on to an archaic approach, and I set out to understand a new model of handling sibling relationships, one that didn't command that they share or else be punished, right? One that didn't elevate one in order to put down the other. One that truly helped form a deeper connection and conflict resolution, not avoidance, right? Most of us were either expected to avoid conflict. Avoiding conflict means give in, put up with it, just walk away. Don't touch him, don't go near him, don't ask for that. You know what you're doing, etc., right? That was the avoidance, or we were actually punished for the conflict, right? Now, both of you will go to your room. Neither of you will get it. Now, I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap, or you're going to stand in the corner, or getting spanked, right? When siblings are fighting, conflict is punished. And neither of these models actually teach us what to do constructively so that we both come out feeling okay. So both of our selves, our self-image, our self-essence is intact. Here's what I want going back one. At the core of this approach is the concept that sibling relationships are the perfect opportunity to learn lifelong skills. And this, if you leave here today with just one idea, it's the following, okay? It's to embrace conflict. In so many mainstream parenting books and advice, I come across this idea of how to stop the fighting, how to stop the conflict. And this perpetuates the idea that conflict is dangerous. That when we don't get along, there's some deep, fearful danger that we need to quickly shut it down, right? And the idea that conflict is dangerous comes in direct opposition to what is natural, normal, and inevitable in sibling relationships. In fact, in all relationships. So if we are constantly trying to avoid the conflict, trying to shut down the conflict, we will inevitably be in consistent frustration, anguish, distress, and create a lot of shame, guilt, confusion within our children. So if you switch off this webinar right now and don't come back, I just want you to come away with this message. Embrace the conflict. It is a gift. The idea that we have a sibling is this. We have someone else, a peer, okay, who is going to be stuck with us no matter what, at least for the next 18 years or so, right? Siblings have to get along because they have to live in the same house. And ultimately, so much is forgivable or forgiven between siblings, or has to be forgiven, because they come home to the same home at the end of the day. What do I mean by this? If there were two friends treating each other the way two siblings treat each other, often those friends would just stop being friends, right? The parents of each child would say, hey, you guys aren't getting along, so we'll stop playing together. Or the friends themselves would say, I don't like playing with her because she's mean to me. Siblings can't do that, okay? Siblings can't do that because they're stuck with each other. They come home and they're there. They have the same parents, and they can't just shun that person and stop being their friend forever, at least not until they leave the house, because there is no such choice. You're stuck with this person. Now, we often see that as a real problem, right? We see it as a problem, like, oh, they're stuck together and they can't get along. And what I'm trying to say to you here today is no, that is the gift. When you grow up with another person who you are stuck with and you now need to figure things out, if you have the correct guidance from a loving parent or other adult, then you learn lifelong skills of conflict resolution. Okay, so let me know if this is resonating for you and if this is helping you understand what I mean, if I'm being clear enough, because if not, I want to repeat this because this is really at the core of everything I want to teach you here today and forever, is that we go into the conflict and embrace it as a wonderful gift and opportunity to learn important skills. Okay, so how do we embrace the conflict? How do we go into it? That's what I'm going to teach you here today. But the first thing you have to realize is when I see my children, fighting, when I see them grabbing from each other, yelling at each other, I think, yes, perfect. Another opportunity to learn about emotional health, another opportunity to learn about empathy, another opportunity to figure things out. I am so grateful that my kids are getting so much practice. Please God, please whoever it is, please the energies, it should be that all of this practice will serve them throughout their life in recognizing other people's emotions, in caring for other people, and in making their voice heard in a non-violent way. Okay, so this is low stakes, guys. This is really low stakes. A 4-year-old whacking a 2-year-old. As much as it hurts us and as much as it triggers us, this is low stakes. Nothing big will happen. He might get a scratch. He might get a boo-boo. You'll put a Band-Aid on it. You'll kiss it better. Maybe he'll break his Lego. Maybe he'll break his science project, right? These are all low stakes environments for learning conflict resolution and claiming our voice, which is why it's a wonderful gift, because you can make all of those mistakes while you're young, right? So if you have 2 little kids, this is the perfect opportunity to make those mistakes. Yeah, get out the aggression, test out what violence does, test out what destruction does. By the way, I'm not endorsing it and I'm not saying we should encourage it. On the contrary, we need to set limits on violence. I'm just saying embracing the conflict means that we allow for the space and the understanding in our minds that 4-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 9-year-olds are testing out behaviors that are unacceptable in adults. So this is the opportunity to teach them, okay? Let's move on. Okay. So I began my quest to learn how to embrace the conflict, and I've read lots of different books. Here are some examples that I would love to recommend to you. Nonviolent Communication, Siblings Without Rivalry, Peaceful Parent, Happy Siblings, No Bad Kids, It's Okay Not to Share, No Contest. Oops, It's Okay Not to Share twice. Okay, so this is just a sprinkling of some great books that I've read, and I've been very lucky to be learning from and connecting from incredible teachers. Dr. Laura Markham, Dr. Dan Siegel, Dr. Sears, Dr. Peter Gray, Dr. Shefali Tabari, Alfie Kohn, Janet Lansbury, Tina Payne Bryson, all of these amazing writers. I've read hundreds of books on this subject and counting. And I've also done my training as a Simplicity Parenting coach. And most of you know me from my YouTube channel or my blog or the courses that I run as a mindful parenting coach. So because I run those courses, parents have been asking me for a long time about siblings. What should I do when my eldest hits his baby sister? I want to prioritize independent play, but sibling rivalries are a real issue that interfere with this. I can be peaceful all day, but when Georgie won't share with her sister, or when they argue and even smack each other, I lose my marbles. Help. They are 5 and 8, by the way. Okay, so I know we can all relate to this. So I've been fascinated by this. I continue to be fascinated by it, and I've been distilling these key concepts of independent play into steps. But one of the big things that people complain about when it comes to independent play is sibling rivalry interfering with this and how they can help overcome that. Okay, so what is the play coach formula? How can we be a play coach to our siblings? And when I say play coach, what I mean is someone who comes down to their eye level and helps them figure it out. Now, before I tell you what the play coach formula is, I want to say there are 2 classic questions that parents ask me at this point. One is, shouldn't we just let them figure it out on their own? Is that a question that you have in your mind now? Shouldn't we just let them figure it out on their own, right? And my answer to this is yes and no. Yes, whatever children can figure out on their own, we should let them figure out on their own. Absolutely. But no, if they can't figure it out on their own, we shouldn't just let them go with it. Why? Because that's where the destructive patterns repeat themselves, okay? If over the course of years and years, children are being aggressive or bullying to each other, children are, repeating a pattern of giving up their needs, giving up their desires, not voicing their wishes because they are nervous of an older sibling, or hurting a younger sibling or an older sibling, etc., then there can be real lasting damage and residue from that kind of destructive relationship. Now, this isn't to scare any of you. Everybody here has young children and has plenty of time to help their children to figure this stuff out. And none of anything in life mostly is irreversible, okay? Things are things that we learn from and move forward from, so it's not to scare you. But I don't think leaving kids to just figure it out is really a constructive way of helping them to figure it out. They need help. They need the tools in many cases. Once they have the tools, once they've practiced a little bit, you will be amazed to just hear them implement them all by themselves. And that's the true joy. And that's the true independence, is when you've taught them enough tools again and again consistently that you suddenly are in the kitchen and you hear them playing in the playroom and you hear them saying to each other, hey, can I have that when you're done with it? Sure, but can you be quick with your turn? And you're just so pleased, right? So that's the first question. The second question that I get asked about this is, sorry, I just have a freeze over here. Can everybody still hear me? I'm seeing something freeze here. Just doing a quick sound check. I know there's a bit of a delay. Just type in a yes if you can hear me now, please. Okay, Karen says yes. Great. Okay, everyone can hear me fine. Great. Okay, so the first question, shouldn't we just let them figure it out on their own? And the second question is, shouldn't I just figure it out for them? Okay, this means, shouldn't I just tell them what to do? Okay, we can come in and say, okay, if you can't share that toy, I'm taking it away. If you can't share that toy, then I'm going to put on a timer and you'll each get it for 2 minutes, right? How many of us have engaged in that kind of adult-led solution, right? Shouldn't we just tell them what to do? They're kids and they don't know how to solve it. And my answer to this, again, is yes and no. Yes, we should be involved and help them. But no, telling them what to do is not going to help them long term. Guys, if we're there telling them how to solve the problem and making them and enforcing our solution that we have both come up with and then also followed through on, you can guarantee that they will never know how to do this on their own. So if you want them to be able to solve problems by themselves, then you do have to be present, but you cannot solve them for them. You have to follow the Play Coach formula. Let's look at it. Okay, so grab a pen and paper. I hope you've got the worksheet with you. Let's go into this. 5 Play Coach skills, and I have conveniently arranged them for you in the acronym PEACE, P-E-A-C-E. I could have done this a million different ways, but I thought that was really nice and a fun thing that you can, hang up on your fridge. So here we go. Number 1 is problem solving. Then we're going to look at the environment. Then we're going to look at being non-ageist. That's the A. Non-competitive. That's the C. And empathy, equality. That is the E. Let's look at that. Okay, problem solving. When our children have a problem, any problem that our children have, Tamara's saying that the screen is frozen. Can everybody see my screen now on problem solving? Let me know if you can see it. I'm going to carry on. I've got an ABC here to help you remember how to go through problem solving. But what problem solving is when you see a conflict arise, you see tension, you see name calling, you see fighting over a toy, you see someone hitting each other. We tend to look at the history. We tend to look at what happened. How did we get here? Who started it? How did this happen, right? We go into an archaeological dig to find out how we got here. Let me tell you, if you are lost in the forest, I've seen this in a cartoon somewhere. If you are lost in the forest and your truck breaks down on the highway or whatever it is, you're lost somehow. If you are stuck just asking how this happened, what started it, who's to blame, you will never solve the problem. Okay, so in the comic strip I'm thinking of, you have a family stuck on the side of the road, and the van's broken down, and the father says the first thing we need to figure out here is who's to blame. Right? How many of us engage in this? We come and see our children fighting over something, and we want to know who's to blame. Well, here's the good news: we can just let that one go completely. We don't need to revisit that ever again in our lives, because blaming is never helpful. I know what you're thinking. Well, it's helpful to figure out how we can avoid it next time. No, it's not. It's not helpful in figuring how we avoid it next time, because blaming creates defensiveness. It makes people feel that they are not understood, that they are not heard, that they are misunderstood. No one wants to be perceived as the problem, as the one who started it, as the aggressor. When we engage in blaming, we actually pit our children against each other further. We actually make the conflict deeper. We actually make the competition between them worse. When we focus on problem solving, however, we think, okay, the car's broken down, now what? Okay, we're looking to the future. So when you want to do problem solving, we start with A, active listening. This is something we parents suck at, right? Raise your hand if you suck at active listening to your kids. My hand is raised, okay? I suck at this because I have all the answers, right? I come and I know what should happen. I know who started it. I know who's to blame, and I know what the solution is. Well, if we start with active listening, then we start by saying what we see. We start by posing an open-ended question. Okay, what does this look like? I see two children who both want that doll. That is a problem. What do you think we could do about this? Right? And we just say what we see, and then we actively listen. Okay, what this does is now we all have a problem together, right? It's not you against each other. Now it's all of us are seeing that there's a problem. There's something that isn't working in our family right now. I see that you guys are calling each other names. Name calling really hurts. That is a problem. What can we do about this, right? Okay, so we start by saying what we see. Then we go to the B. That's brainstorming. Okay, brainstorming is a creative process. Okay, we come up with ideas. What can we do? And we encourage our children to come up with the ideas themselves. And if they can't, then we start them off. We encourage them a little bit. Okay, you both have the doll. You both want it right now. Be should we cut the doll in half? Would that work? Well, you'd both get half the doll, but there would be another problem, which is that the doll would be broken, right? What other solutions might we have? Turn taking, we could do that. Yeah. Oh, we have another doll in the attic. Yes, we could get that down. That's an option. We could set a timer. All right. Do you both agree to that solution? Okay, so do you see what I'm modeling for you here? It's brainstorming, coming up even with the wackiest of ideas. We could buy another doll. We could buy 1,000,000 dolls. You could be the doll and I could hold you. I could get the doll, right? It doesn't matter what the actual ideas are. The idea is to be creative and focused on problem solving. Focused on coming up with all sorts of solutions, even when they're not fair. So in this case, you really want to follow and not lead. And then finally, you need to coach them. And this is number C. Coaching is to find a win-win together. So you go through each solution that you've come up with and you ask, okay, does that feel like you both win? You know, maybe there's some negotiation that needs to happen here. Maybe Jamie gets to keep the doll, but then Alice gets to use your new Lego set, right? So we're helping them find the skills for finding a win-win, and we're always focusing on that win-win. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Remember, if you have any questions about these, type them in the chat box or save them for the Q&A. The next one is environment, okay? Maria Montessori taught us that the environment is the third teacher. Okay, the environment is the teacher because how you set up your space, even if you're in a very tiny apartment, informs how it's going to be used. Okay, how you set up your space informs how it's going to be used. That's why I so often talk about decluttering and minimalism, because if you have so much clutter, for example, you're going to have a lot of mess and overwhelm, right? Same goes for sibling relationships. You want to set up an environment that supports them not getting into tizzes and not stepping on each other's toes. What do I mean? So the first thing that I really recommend every parent does is to protect older children's work and privacy. Okay, older children as young as 2 years old with a newborn baby and onwards work on a project that their younger sibling then comes and knocks down or grabs a piece. And the frustration and resentment that is natural and normal for an older child to experience when the younger child is ruining their work is inevitably going to lead to a lot of anger and, animosity. Protect your older children's work, okay? Protect them by offering them to work on the dining room table, to work at the kitchen counter, to close the door, to set up a baby gate. Open the pack and play and allow your older child to build inside the pack and play. Whatever it is, do it to protect your older child and show them that their work is important and they don't need to compromise it with a younger child who's going to ruin it, okay? Number 2, allow for non-sharing, okay? We are all programmed to think that sharing is the epitome of pro-social behavior. How many of us share our laptops, our phones, our shoes? We all come into a lot more generosity and are able to actually share real things, meaningful things, like our time, like, our meals, like our ideas with each other when the things that are key to us don't have to be shared. Okay, so if you allow non-sharing in your home, you will see that children are actually a lot more able to trust and to share. And what you want to do is you want to opt for turn taking instead, okay? If there's something that is everybody's, is the public domain, then we teach them turn taking and we give them language. So if someone's grabbing a toy, we teach them from the youngest of ages. You can say, when you're done your turn, can I have that? The other one can say, when I'm done my turn, you can have this, right? Remind them that this is a phrase they can use. And you can use the phrase in our family and set some family values, okay? In our family, we wait our turn. In our family, you don't have to share. In our family, if you're working on something that's precious, we put it up on a shelf and keep it protected, okay? Okay, 2 people have just said can't hear, got stuck. Is it back? Okay. Some people are saying it's back. I'll take this opportunity to have some tea. My throat's getting a bit scratchy. Can everyone hear? Beth, can you hear? Claudia says it's back. Okay, let's keep going. And finally, hit the reconnect button. Is that me, Tamara, or someone else? Okay, everyone else can hear. Great. Okay, finally, I want you to say, allow for some ownership, okay? What I do in my home is basically all toys are for sharing. I really recommend to my children, I say to them, it's worth it for you because when you have a new toy, okay, I know that you find it hard to share right then. But when your sibling has a new toy, you really want them to share. Now, I know that if you share with him now, he's likely to share with you next time, and it's worth it for you. But each one of my siblings, each one of my children, I keep saying that, has a box. And in that box are their special things, their drawings, gifts that they want to keep just for them, okay? And just allowing some level of ownership, something that is just theirs, a shelf, a drawer, even rooms, right, can allow for a strengthened feeling that my things are protected. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk about ageism. I think almost all of us grew up in an ageist environment, and we live in a fiercely ageist society, okay? And we classify children by their age. That's usually the first question we ask children: how old are you? We pit siblings against each other because of their age. Now, we do this in two ways. Older siblings, as soon as they become a sibling, are pushed out of babyhood, pushed out of toddlerhood, pushed out of childhood itself, in the expectation that they take on more responsibility and that they look after the baby. We sometimes call it their baby. We encourage them to give up on things, such as often they have to give up on their cot, give up on their nursing, give up on co-sleeping, give up on the toddler bed, right? Give up on all sorts of things. And what's much worse than any of those physical things that they have to give up on is that they give up on their place as our baby. Okay, so what I want to point out here is that children of all ages, people, in fact, of all ages, have an inner baby and an inner child that needs to be nurtured, that needs to be babied, okay? What do I mean by babied? I mean held, stroked, touched, looked at with loving, loving, loving eyes, comforted when they cry, allowed to be whiny or fussy sometimes and just cry in our arms, right? The fact is that when we have a younger child, we have someone else who needs all of those needs, and we don't want to offer it to the bigger child anymore, right? We want them to just grow out of it because it's too much for us. So we tell the older child, can't you see that I'm dealing with a baby right now? You're not a baby. You are a 5-year-old. You are a 7-year-old. 7-year-olds don't have to cry. 7-year-olds can figure it out by themselves. 4-year-olds are big enough not to be held by mommy. You're too heavy. You're too big. Now, I'm not saying that we can avoid any of this. We can't avoid it. That's life, and that's okay. Having another sibling is wonderful, and it's a gift, and I don't feel sorry for any of your children for having younger siblings. It's all okay. But I want you to notice that when you have that kind of thinking, it does create a resentment between the kids. So I want you to just take some time, sometimes, to allow your older child to be the baby. Baby them. Encourage them to feel protected, held, and seen as still a child, still a little one, still a baby. Okay, my 5-year-old, my very large 5-year-old who's almost 6, will sometimes lie in my arms and pretend to cry. And when he does this, it's kind of like our game. I'll be like, oh, you're a baby. Can you be my baby? Can I hold you? And it only lasts for about a minute. Right? But that fills him up with that sense that he's still my baby. And I always remind him, you're always going to be my baby. I'm sorry, no matter how old you are, no matter how big you get, you're always going to be my baby. So allow that, okay? Second, younger children are often baby too much, right? Because what happens is they don't claim their voices with what they they don't get as much power as older siblings, right? Older siblings choose which movie to watch, which game to play, which book we're going to read, which dinner we're going to have, right? Older siblings get a lot of choices. So we want to empower younger siblings to claim their voices, right? We want to, when we're making a family decision, right? Say we're all deciding if we should go out for ice cream or waffles. It's often the older child says what they say and the younger children follow suit. Take a moment to take stock of the other children as well. Do you agree? Is that good for you too? Do you have a different idea? The fact that we don't embrace conflict means we often don't ask the younger children to express their desires because we're afraid that it will come in conflict with the older sibling. But if we ask the younger children to claim their voice and offer them a voice, then we are starting to even that out a little bit. And finally, refrain from age-based preferentialism, unless it's by law, right? There are some laws, you know, kids aren't allowed to go on this ride until they're so high, or sit in this car seat until they're this age, or whatever. But other than that, I would recommend trying to mix it up when you're doing things by age. So in some families you get, I don't know, servings of dessert by age, or gifts in size by age, or that kind of thing. So try to avoid age being something that is a differentiator, okay? Let's move on. Number 4, non-competition. Okay, this is a huge one, guys. Just like all the other points here, this could be an entire seminar in itself, but let's quickly go over this, okay? When we create a competitive environment, we really are setting our children up for sibling rivalry. We really are. A competitive environment is created by labeling, okay? Saying she's the smart one, he's the funny one, she's the creative one, he's the artistic one. When we label kids with different labels, they cling to those labels, they want those labels, and they're in competition with their siblings over those labels. A competitive environment is created by praise. And I'm not talking about beautiful encouragement. Hey, I'm so excited for you. Wow, I love what you drew. Look how hard you're working. All of those, in joining in with our children in encouragement is fine. But there is a certain type of praise that pits children against each other, especially comparative praise, right? When we say, your sister had no trouble with this, right? Look how nicely she's sitting and eating, and you're making a big mess. Look how well your brother's doing his homework, and why are you so slow? So-and-so's already got his shoes on. So-and-so has tidied his room, right? When we compare, when we label, we create competition. Okay. Another way that we create competition is by actually being competitive, playing competitive games, playing games where there are winners and losers, or saying things like, let's race to the bath. Whoever's last in the bedroom is a rotten tomato. Whoever, finishes first is the best. Whoever finishes first gets dessert. Okay. If you are creating a competitive environment like that, then they will be in competition. Okay, so refrain from competition as an incentive. Instead, opt for non-competitive games, opt for challenges as a team. So instead of saying who can clean up the fastest, you could say, let's see how fast we all clean up. Okay, that focuses on collaboration, right? When we say, let's see who cleans up the fastest, we forget that we also want you to help each other. We don't want you to be in competition with each other. I don't want you to beat your brother. I want you to slow down and help him, right? Competition is in direct opposition with collaboration. Full stop. So when you're playing these games, it creates a non-collaborative environment. Next, model non-competition. Are you in competition with your spouse, with your friends, with your family? Are your kids hearing you say, oh, she got, this award. He's prettier than me. She's thinner than me. He's got a bigger house. She's got a bigger car. They get a bigger paycheck. If you are competitive, I promise you, your children are very likely to be competitive too. And finally is what we already spoke about, which is refrain from comparisons and labeling. So we want to reward diversity and collaboration. Instead of saying, you're the smart one, you're the pretty one, or you did it faster, or you're eating nicely and she isn't, we say, well, we're all different. Each one of us goes at our own pace. Each one of us does our thing, does our thing differently. Sometimes you're smart, sometimes you're not, sometimes you're funny, sometimes she's funny. We're all allowed to be everything. We're all allowed to be good at maths. How many of you were the ones who were good at maths? And how many of you were not? How many of you were the artistic ones? And how many of you were not? I was the artistic one who was not good at maths. Well, guess what? I'm allowed to be good at maths. Just because my brother has a doctorate in computer science and mathematics doesn't mean that I can't also be good at maths, right? And that is the case, by the way. Okay, onwards. Last step, empathy, equality. I want to say that we as parents have a narrative in our mind, and this links back very deeply to who we were as siblings. If we were the younger one or the older one, we'll often commiserate and collaborate and identify with the younger sibling, etc. Okay, so empathy equality means that when I come in empathy to you, I offer empathy to both of you. I don't choose an aggressor and a victim. I don't withhold my empathy and my love from one as a way of showing that I don't like your behavior. Okay, this is mainstream parenting advice, which I rail against. Mainstream parenting, withhold your love and give a negative reinforcement, for behavior. So if a child's hitting another child, only empathize with the child that's being hit. Well, a hurting child is a hurt child. No child hits another child unless they themselves are feeling hurt. No child wants to be in a fight, wants to be angry, wants to be aggressive. No such thing as bad children. We create the aggressors and the victims when we identify with one side. But whilst we must correct hitting, whilst we must stop our children from hurting each other, we must also empathize with both the hit and the hitted. Okay? So we offer empathy as our first action. You guys have just been hit. Whoa. Oh gosh, there must be some big feelings right here. I can see a lot of anger right here. Wow. Gosh, you must be having such a hard time if you're hitting your brother like that. I know you and you're such a sweet, kind kid, so I know that when you're hitting, that means something big is going on for you. Come sit on my lap, okay? When we empathize with both, we reduce the need for competition, we reduce the need for rivalry, because we are not using negative and positive reinforcements. We're saying everybody here is going to get what they need. Everybody here is deserving of empathy, okay? So first, go to empathy and offer it equally. And then encourage empathic responses between the children. This is the emotional coaching, okay? This is when I say, whoa, sweetie, you just hit your brother. Can you look at his face? What do you think he's feeling right now? Yeah, he's feeling sad. Oh gosh, come, let's help him feel better, right? The idea is to focus on the problem solving and to focus on the empathy. It's not about forcing you to apologize. If you're giving me a huffy, I'm sorry, that is completely useless in conflict resolution. That leaves both of you feeling rubbish, right? Has anyone here ever received an indignant apology? It does not feel good to give it or receive it. The idea isn't to force the apology. The idea is to ignite the empathy. The idea is to note the feelings that you elicited in the other person, okay? So that's the final step. Now, I want you to know that despite what our culture tells us, feeling stressed and isolated when raising young children is normal and common. Slowing down and listening to your children without shaming, blaming, and punishing them is exactly what you need to be doing. Your children will not be spoiled or coddled as a result. On the contrary, this is not just a theory. It actually makes our lives as parents easier and offers our children what they need the most, which is healthy play and strong sibling connections. I have helped thousands of other parents make these transformations in their home. I want you to know you are not alone. Now, I'm not sure why you showed up today. It may be because you're worried about an older child hurting the younger child and find it hard to teach them to be gentle. You're constantly needing to break up squabbles and find yourself snatching away toys or enforcing timeouts. Maybe you're alone in your choice to parent peacefully and you wish you had a village of supportive parents going through the same. Maybe your home life is feeling stressful, cluttered up toys, screen addictions, not enough time outside. Or maybe your children won't play alone because they constantly need you to praise them, give them attention or help, and you need a moment to yourself. Maybe you're at the start of this journey and you just want to do it right. Or because you know that you want to enjoy motherhood or fatherhood, feel empowered and relaxed, but often you feel defeated, isolated, or disappointed in yourself and your reality at home with your little ones. The good news is that through research, trial, and error, I have learned the steps to amplifying presence and play at home. This is the alternative to all the stress and arguing that we're all looking for. It may seem subtle, but it's pretty radical in my opinion. Learning this has changed my life, and I know it has changed my children's lives. I do believe that anyone can create a better environment and rhythm for play and presence and find joy even in sibling conflicts. It takes investment and thought, and it will look different for each family, but there are many formulated shortcuts that you can learn. So I want to introduce you to my Present Play membership. And I know we have some members here. Shout out to anybody who's in Present Play. This is a membership that I run, and it's my guide to reclaiming immersive, independent, imaginary play for your children. Because I believe that play is the pivotal aspect of presence in childhood. So I want you to imagine having actionable, manageable steps to take to decluttering and optimizing your unique environment for your unique children's play. Imagine having regular doses of inspiration and camaraderie to keep staying positive and joyful and bring back the fun in parenting. Imagine watching your children's reactions to the big and little shifts that you're making and seeing the significant differences you're creating in your family's flow. Think how it may feel when parenting becomes less overwhelming and more intriguing. Less anxious and more fun. Think how it might feel to have clear, actionable formulas for helping siblings or playdates through arguments and rivalries and seeing them managing to get on together better. Think how it would feel to see your play environment as a beautiful, inviting space you're proud of and your children love. So I'm going to tell you about some real parents. This is Ashley, and I want you to imagine yourself like Ashley, who's a mother of 4 and who took the steps to declutter and create play environments at home. And this was to prepare herself for homeschooling 4 littles. She took the steps that we outlined in Present Play, and she managed to create a soothing environment that encouraged exactly the type of play she was hoping for. And here she posted a picture of all 4 kids engaged independently at the same time. Christina, who in this example got to enjoy an hour-long hot coffee with her husband while her children played beautifully together. And another Christina, who has made massive changes in her home and have experienced many benefits of living a less cluttered home and more presence. She says she's been stretched in so many ways and have learned so much on her journey already. This is a quote from Katie, who is the mother to Noel, Manny, and Juniper. This membership has been a total game changer for my family. It's given me the tools and motivation I need to implement routines that serve us well. My kids are playing more and fighting less. They are more joyful, flexible, and content than ever before. I am feeling more confidence and clarity in my parenting decisions and so much more relaxed and hopeful about all my parenting goals. Daniela, who says this helped her to see the relationship to her kids from a new perspective, and everything that she's learned has been so helpful and has motivated her to create peaceful at home with routines and lots of time for independent play. So you may be asking yourself, what makes me an expert? And the answer that I always give is that I'm not. I'm not at all. In fact, I believe in beginner's mind. No matter how much quote unquote expertise I gather through my trainings and reading and everything that I invest in, I believe in maintaining beginner's mind. So I'm a trained parent coach, but I'm not a scientist, I'm not a shrink, and I'm not even such a seasoned mom. My kids are young, just like yours. What gives me the honor of helping other parents is that I am living this parenting journey in real life with them. The ups and downs of peaceful parenting day in, day out with 3 littles, through 5 major moves, including a transatlantic move, through pregnancies and births and the loss of 2 loved ones, and now with homeschooling as well. It's not perfect, and we are flawed in many ways. But all this is to say that it's my real day-to-day life, and I'm so grateful to have formulated an approach that truly allows for more flow into our lives. So what exactly will you get if you join the Present Play membership? So the first thing you'll get is weekly videos. These are bite-sized and actionable. You will gain new insights from each video on one of the 6 topics of Present Play. Each week we'll look at a new perspective and challenge ourselves to grow in that area. The videos will also be available in a transcription or in audio, or you can listen to the audio only if that's your thing. And whenever it's relevant, you'll get cheat sheets as well. The second thing you'll get is guest experts. Okay, so every month, I offer an in-depth interview with an amazing expert. So I'm giving myself a huge pat on the back for bringing all these people together because we have some of the best minds in the parenting space. Doctors of psychology, gentle sleep experts, speech therapists, outdoor play experts. I've gathered the cream of the crop, and they will be sharing their insights with us on our journey to presence and play. And finally, community, which is absolutely just phenomenal. Some online communities leave you feeling worse than when you started, but not this one. Ours is a supportive, committed village who are here to help you troubleshoot, celebrate your wins, and commiserate in your frustration. Our village is strictly guilt-free zone, so you will never be shamed for using screens, for losing your cool, or for being human. Plus, this is where we hold the behind-the-scenes Facebook Lives and have fun. And all of my Q&A sessions where you get your unique questions answered are held there. This is what some people say about the Facebook group. I love it because it's real. I can relate to the majority of posts and all the answers really help. The live sessions are part of this group. It feels like a real community with actual interaction, the willingness to share the good with the bad, the non-judgment, the ideas, etc. Okay, and finally your Q&As. So we gather the Q&As and we do really vibrant, robust live sessions where all questions get answered. Now, if you're joining, I have some fantastic bonuses just to really sweeten the deal for you. So one bonus you'll get is Playful Limits. This is a deep dive training. So if you find yourself yelling, bribing, threatening, or just at your wit's end in how to garner cooperation from your children, in this deep dive training, you will find 10 ways of using play to set limits effectively, empathically, and peacefully. You'll also get the Play Without Rivalry video. And this is in direct continuation from this webinar. Sibling rivalry was cited as one of the top things that parents struggle with and that inhibits play in my recent survey of over 100 parents. In this training, you'll discover the top 10 things to focus on in creating a home that helps siblings and friends get along and play together or side by side. And you'll also get a mega art supplies guide. So if you're confused about which art supplies are right for which ages, or if you want to create and encourage creativity, but it's just not your thing, you know creativity is vital and that art and messy play is a gateway to this, but you're not sure where to start, this PDF has you covered. Okay, so the Present Play membership is valued at $47 per month, but right now it is available for $24.99 per month. Now, I must say that as content builds, this price does not come back. So if you join now, you lock it in. Now let's do the math because, sorry, I'll just forward to that slide because I wanted to just do that now. Let's do the math. There is over 20 hours available to you in Present Play. And you'll get that access to all of that at $25, $24.99. Now, I want you just to compare that to a typical 45-minute coaching session, which costs upwards of $150. So in terms of the amount of content you're getting, it is well worth it. Now, typically members stay upwards of 5 months on average so far. It's only been around for 6 months. So we have members, the vast majority of our members have stayed all the way through. But it very much depends on you. You could consume it all very quickly, or you could stay the long haul. Now, of course, there's a slow way and a fast way to create a play-based life. You can absolutely wade through the books, courses, and workshops that I did and master these skills all on your own. But fair warning, this does take a lot of time, and in the interim, your children's relationship and the overall stress levels in your home can suffer. Or there's a fast way, which is to take advantage of the time and energy I and my community have spent pouring over this information and distilling it for you, and you can get the bottom line step by step. This is my passion, my calling, and my mission is to make it easier and more fun for you too. I also want you to know that it's risk-free, 100% risk-free. If you've had your fill, you can always cancel. Okay, now I want you to know that I really don't want you to go it alone. If you are in therapy, if you have an incredible partner who knows how to apply nonviolent communication naturally, or have an extended family around you who are peacefully raising your children with you, then wow, I'm thrilled for you, and you may not need our support. But if you feel isolated, alone, or simply haven't found a tribe of other parents who are committed to simplicity, peacefulness, and compassion as a main way of parenting, I urge you to consider joining us. I am on a mission to elevate stress and alleviate stress and overwhelm for us parents so we can reclaim the joy that should be inherent in parenting. So Tamara, I think we can pop up the link because I know a lot of people are already going to want to join, and you can join right here. And I'm just going to finish off here and get to the live Q&A. So I just want to remind everyone that we used to have a village, but we still need one. Throughout our evolution, people have raised their children in a supportive village. Even in the 70s and 80s, kids would run around together on the street and only came in when the street lights turned off. Parents knew that the neighbors and friends would look out for their kids and they would do the same for theirs. But today we're all so isolated. And if you're interested in being non-punitive, peaceful, and kind as well, then you really may have no one around who supports this parenting style. I wish that we could all meet in person, and some of us do, but all Present Play members have this non-judgmental community, and I want that for you too. This is designed for busy parents. I know that you are incredibly busy, so you might be worried that you don't have time for one more thing, but you need to know that there is no need to keep up. You just trust that you'll get the exact info you need at the right time for you, and all of the video and content will be available for you for as long as you are subscribed. So just consider what happens if you don't join, okay? If you want to make some real drastic changes. So I've been blessed with this incredible community, and there's really no pressure for anyone to join us now. But I do want you to realize that change only happens when we take action. If you don't take real actionable steps to improving family dynamics, to decluttering, to mindfulness, to playfulness, then it's pretty safe to assume that the current situation will stay exactly the same, right? Because change demands action. And that's why I really invite you to join us now. If you've come to this training, it's clear that you're ready to take your parenting to the next level. You're probably not willing to go through another day overwhelmed with tension, screaming, fighting, stress, clutter, and screen addictions. I salute your commitment to the parenting journey and to creating the most joy for your family. Parents in Present Play are taking their transformation seriously, and now is your time to join us. Okay, so guys, I'm going to be giving you a free gift just for sticking with me. Thank you so much. This is something that I absolutely love, and it's a contract. It's a family contract, and what it is to help you overcome screen addictions, screen fighting. I know that this was cited as one of the big topics that siblings and parents fight over. My throat is getting sore. Let me just take a quick sip of my tea. Okay, so this family contract is for you to use even today, okay? What you do is you call a family meeting, you sit down with them, and you go through this contract. Even with young children as young as 4 and 5, you can discuss and make decisions together. So even if you're not joining the membership at this time, I just want to say I am so glad that you've taken this training, and I hope you've received a lot of actionable ideas, including this gift, on how to improve sibling relationships and problem-solving techniques. And now I'm going to take a Q&A. Now, if you are joining, here's what you do next. You should see an offer right on the side of your screen. If you're on a phone, you might have to scroll down, and you can just click that, and you will get to a page that explains all about the membership. Now, if you're on the fence, or if you're just curious and you want to see more, in that page, towards the bottom, it's a long page, you'll also find a tour of the membership site. So you can have a peek inside before you make any decisions. We'll show you what it looks like and exactly what you get. Okay, I'm going to stop my screen share now, and we're going to go into the Q&A.
All right, thank you, Abigail. I'll take a little bit of a break.
Oh, Tamara.
That was amazing. I'm just sitting here, and I'm hopefully speaking for most of us. Can everybody hear me? That's one good question I should ask. Just somebody could let me know if you can hear me. But speaking for everyone, can you hear me?
Say yes if you can hear her. They're all for Present Play.
They might be keeping it a secret. But seriously, though, I'm hoping I'm speaking for everyone, because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, thank you, Avital. I don't even have more than one child at this point, but thank you for sharing this. That was so good. So yes, I've got a lot of questions here, and are you ready? I've got Tanya had a few questions. One of them was another question from somebody else too, but Tanya asked, what do you do when the siblings are like nonverbal 1-year-old twins, for instance?
That's a great
Can you give an example for problem solving?
That's a great question. So Tamara, while I'm answering, I think you switch off your microphone so that the sound isn't choppy. And then switch it back on when I'm done. Okay, before siblings are verbal is the perfect time to start this process. All of this, okay? It's the perfect time because you're lucky. You're catching it when they're so young, and you can just get them used to this from the get-go. Okay, so when siblings are pre-verbal, what we do, and this is beautiful because babies are perfect at this. Babies express their emotions so clearly on their faces and in their body language. Okay, so when you have, say, a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old who grabbed from a 1-year-old, right? And now the 1-year-old is upset and you have to problem solve. You come in and you say to that 3-year-old, whoa, look at your brother's face. What do you think he's feeling right now? I think he wasn't done with that toy. Yeah, I know he's a baby and it's so easy to grab and you really want that toy, but we can't just grab it from him because that's not kind. That's not respectful of him. He's in the middle. Let's think of some problems together, okay? Some solutions together. This is a big problem. You both want the toy. Let's think of some solutions together. And then you can put words in the baby's mouth, okay? So the older sibling is saying, well, it will be my turn now, right? And then you say, okay, that's one idea, right? Remember, we validate all ideas. The idea that you'll grab it now and it will be your turn. So, John, do you think that will work for you, John? Do you want to give the toy to Gregory? Terrible at making up names. Do you want to give the toy to Gregory? Right? And he might shake his head, or he might just shrug, or he might not say anything. You say, I don't think he's ready yet. And you facilitate that slowly but surely with him. Then you say, hey, Gregory, would you like to check if there are any toys that John would accept instead? Right? And you continue to facilitate. But I know that there are school programs now that are bringing babies in for a 45-minute session, like a date with a baby, to teach the kids empathy, because babies are so expressive and you can see on their face what they are feeling, right? And it's a beautiful way of teaching empathy. So use the fact that you have a nonverbal child in your home to teach the older child empathy and conflict resolution.
Okay. I've got another question here. And Claudia, what tips in the middle of the hit, neither of the two children would listen to me and they're screaming to each other and crying?
Okay, so while any kind of violence or destruction is happening, we need to first and foremost stop that from happening. Okay, so sometimes that means picking up a child and removing them. Sometimes it means holding them both with our arms and just blocking them as gently as we can, right? Sometimes it means removing their offending item. Sometimes it means taking a child to a separate room and closing the door because the other child is so out of control that we simply cannot keep them both safe. But at that time, there's no language particularly necessary except for, I won't let you hit. I won't let you throw. We need to keep each other safe. Afterwards, you'll problem solve. Okay, afterwards, you will problem solve. Now, just stop the emergency and focus very deeply on self-regulation, on calming yourself. This is not an emergency. This isn't when my father used to hit me. This isn't when my sister used to hit me. This is a brand new situation. These are my sweet, innocent children having a hard time. And I'm going to stop the destruction, and then we will problem solve after everybody's calmed down. Often when there's violence happening, that means that somebody has a big cry inside them. Somebody has a tantrum. And then we go into the peaceful tantrum training, which is a whole separate webinar, which I'm sure many of you have attended, but that is my answer for you on that
one. Okay. Yeah, Elena, I just wanted to say hello. She said she missed the webinar, but she was to make it available to her. She's like, I want to know more about the membership. So you can ask your questions now, and we will definitely get that to you, Elena. What do you do when you can't attend to a conflict? Nelly is asking, like when you're nursing a baby or cooking dinner or something like that.
Yeah. That's a great question. Sometimes we can't, and it will very much depend on how intense the conflict is. Honestly, if one of your children is in danger of being hurt by another, then you have to put the cooking aside. You have to even stop the nursing or do it while you're nursing. You have to keep them safe, right? That's our responsibility. So if they are out of control, then we have to put whatever it is aside and tend to them. If it's problem solving that is happening in a calmer way, right, that it's whiny and it's cryy, but it's not destructive and painful, then we can do that. We can either put it off for a little while. We can say, hey, you know what, guys, I'm cooking. I've got another 5 minutes to finish this dish. I see that this is a big issue. I see it's a huge problem. I totally get it, and I'm going to help you solve it. Either you guys can bring it in here while I'm cooking and we can discuss it together, or let's put all of the Lego up here, and in 5 minutes, look, I'm putting the timer on, in 5 minutes, I'm going to be really available with you to focus on this problem. But I will just say that most of the time kids aren't going to be able to wait to solve a real intense problem. And if it's getting fiery, then you're going to need to pause what you're doing and try to step in. Now, the beauty of this is the more you do it, the less you need to do it. Okay, so when you teach them as much as possible, and as much as possible when it's not heated, before it gets heated, because then it's hard to learn, impossible really to learn. So as much as possible to teach them these steps of conflict resolution, then you will see that they will slowly but surely begin to be able to implement them without your help or with minimal intervention. So you'll be able, and you should, step out a little bit. Tamara, are you still
okay? Yes, and I don't know if it's for everybody, but you're frozen, Avital. I don't know if you want to try to.
Yeah, at least
if you're screening come back, I don't know, but we can hear you. That's the most important part. And several other great questions. Okay, so let's get to them. Hillary, thank you for the peace formula. I was definitely blaming, yelling, and lacking practical tools to better deal with, and I appreciate these. We all do, Hillary. I love the peace formula you gave. It seems like it can take a good amount of time. What if you're making, this is similar to the other question, on the phone or caring for a baby, exact same question, and can't assist to it right away.
Yeah, so I think I've answered.
Do you feel that you covered that?
I think,
yeah.
Hillary, did you get your answer?
Yeah. Okay, so Melissa, she says, I have my kids work through their issues when my son is sick, has limited language, and has OCD, which is a challenge in itself.
Okay, 1 minute. I can't hear you so well, Tamara, so let me just read that. I'm now going to work through the issues of my son is autistic, which is a challenge in and of itself. Melissa, you know, I can imagine how challenging that is. Any children who, I'm not a special needs expert, so please, you know, take this with a grain of salt, but I have consulted with many special needs experts on this, on the peaceful parenting topics. And what I want to say is that with children who are on the autistic spectrum or who have things like OCD or any other challenges, I know that the behaviors and the lack of sensitivity to other people, or just, you know, the lack of emotional awareness can be so much more acute. But for this exact reason, and I know this is so tough, but for this exact reason, it's even more important to not punish those behaviors, but to work on empathy and recognizing emotions in other people. Because these children are under so much stress, are labeled so much as it is, you know, are anyway dealing with a lot of challenges to really manage their social interactions. So they need even more so to learn the steps of a back and forth with problem solving and brainstorming and coming up with solutions. Now, what I would add here, Melissa, is if your other child, you know, you don't reference your other kids, but if your other kid is having particular challenges being on the receiving end of maybe lack of empathy or maybe compulsive behavior or that kind of thing, then a lot of empathy coaching. This is a huge, huge gift for all of your children. a huge gift, because it's the opportunity to really learn diversity, how we are all different, how we all interact in the world in a different way, and how we can all, align with and come into sensitivity and to compassion to other children. But that has to come from a place of deep empathy within you and of course within them. So it's really, I would say, about focusing on the empathy towards each and every individual in the situation, and understanding that it's challenging, and it's challenging for everybody involved, and everybody gets equal empathy.
Thank you. All right. I have a couple more questions, but I just wanted to take a minute to say the present play. And just below, scroll down, check it out. It tells you more. Reading what we just talked about, Elena, I think you had mentioned, like, how do I know about it? So click on that to see. You can learn a lot more. So I have a couple more questions. Liz, it's true, I wish I had this information when my kiddos were born. Now I just want to implement it right away. I know the feeling, Liz. And a lot of people have that same feeling when they start to learn these things, is that, hey, I really wish I had this, and they almost feel guilty. But just know that this is coming at the right time, and we're just so thankful we do have this. So just want to do this. And she asks, older daughter tends to climb up and run from any conflict. She just shuts down at the first attempt trying to talk it through. If she is feeling blamed, how train her not to run. And
so, Tamara, I can't hear you very well. It's very, very choppy. So I think you read a question out from Leah. I just want to take this opportunity to say a huge welcome to all of the people who have joined Present Play membership already. Huge welcome to Devon, to Marissa, to Hron, to Lindsay, to Eggle. Just got to load the rest of the names. I'll come back and welcome everybody else in a minute when that loads. Oh, here it goes. Welcome Laura, welcome Rachel, welcome Aniel, Emily, Jessica, Julie, Sana, Zainab, Ashley, Ariane, Divyanka, Sonia, Layla, Sarah, Naomi. Welcome to all of you. I'm so glad that you've joined the Present Play membership. We are thrilled to have you as part of this village and to continue this siblings conversation there. Okay, guys, if anybody has any questions about the membership itself, about joining the membership, about how it works, please ask them now. I'm happy to answer those questions as well. And now I'm going to answer Leah. Leah, my daughter tends to clam up and run from any conflict. She just shuts down at the first attempt of trying to talk it through. She is feeling blamed. How to retain her not to run and avoid conflict or talking it out. Okay, so Leah, here's my advice on this, okay? When children run away, my son does this too, when children run away, it's because they have been conditioned in school and society from us. This is just the way of it, right? This is what we do, and this is how it happens. No need to feel guilty. It's just what happens. They've been conditioned that they were bad, that they did something naughty, that they're going to get told off. And as a self-preservation, they run away because nobody wants to get told off. And they're 5 or whatever, so they're able to just run away. So that's fine. I suggest that when a child runs away from conflict resolution, we let them run away. We let them run away until we can sufficiently convince them that we are here to help them solve a problem, that they won't be getting chastised, that we won't be character assassinating, that we won't be telling them off, that they did nothing wrong, or maybe not to say that they did nothing wrong, because maybe they did do something wrong, but just that it doesn't matter what happened. Whatever happened, we can figure it out. Whoever started it, we can figure it out, right? And the idea is, when my son runs off and he's like, oh, I'm not going to come. I'm like, sweetie, you don't need to apologize. I'm sure I need to show him that I trust him. I need to show him that I have a vote of confidence in his character before he's willing to come to the table, right? No one's coming to the table to negotiate if they feel like the moderator isn't on their side. If you feel like the referee is playing for the other team, then you're not going to want to play the game. So you, as the referee, as the moderator, as the conflict resolution, as the facilitator, you need to authentically and convincingly show both sides that you are neutral and that you're here to help. Helping does not involve blaming. Helping does not involve archaeological digs. It doesn't involve any of that. It only involves moving forward and helping constructively problem solve. So we need to convince them. We need to say, hey, sweetie, if you need some time to yourself, I totally get it. I think we had a problem here, and I know we all feel not so great about it. So when you're ready, I'd be so happy to help you figure out a solution that you're all happy with, okay? And we focus on that. Okay, Tamara, I'm a little bit nervous about your microphone not working, so I'm going to take the following questions, and maybe you can chat them. Here, 1 or 2 cues left on my list. Okay, Melissa, my son teases my daughter when I reprimand her, which makes her aggravated, I can imagine. If we go to another room to help her calm down, he follows and teases even more. What should I do? Okay, so Melissa, yeah, okay, so if you reprimand your daughter in a way that is in any way potentially humiliating, in any way potentially makes her feel like she's being told off in front of other people, etc., especially because you already have this sibling dynamic, I would recommend starting to try not to reprimand her in general, but certainly not in front of your son. When you have something to say, if you have feedback for her, if you have a request, if you're not happy with something she did, I would recommend saying something like, hey, can I talk to you for a second in private? And then talking in a low voice, not like you're telling a secret, just like you're talking to her in private. Hey, sweetie, I was not happy with the way you did that just now, or whatever. And then if your son comes in and starts teasing her, that we treat like a problem, okay? So we come in and we say, whoa, I'm seeing some big feelings here. I can see some hurtful words. In our family, we use kind words, okay? Would anyone like to tell me what's going on or what we can do to help, right? And then we start the problem-solving process. But really, I would recommend, in order to reduce competition and to reduce teasing, not to add, fuel to the fire by embarrassing siblings in front of each other if they're old enough to be embarrassed and if they're old enough to tease each other, right? My 5-year-old son will sometimes tease my 3-year-old son or that kind of thing, and my response is always, whoa, how does that make him feel? Right? Just that question alone is enough to evoke some empathy for him to be like, sad, right? Even if he doesn't care in that moment, at least he's taken the moment to wonder how his actions have impacted someone else. So I would really very much focus on, how does the teasing make her feel? And that should be sufficient, hopefully there. Okay, Tamara, are there any more questions that we need to attend to right now? Let me just see in the chat. No, but Beth's just underneath it. Beth. Okay, I and my 2 kids just came from a domestically violent situation, and these keys will be so helpful in helping them get along a bit better. Beth, I'm so sorry that you had that. That's an awful thing for you to go through, but I am very pleased to hear that these keys will be helping with managing the situation. Elena says the replay should be available for 24 hours. The point is to sell the membership. Okay, so Elena, the point of this webinar is to provide you guys with valuable, hopefully really insightful tools for dealing with sibling conflict, and definitely to invite whoever wants more support, more answers, further input from me and from this community to the Present Play membership. And I will definitely try to make it available for 24 hours. We often have technical difficulties, as you all saw, with the webinar software, and therefore I may or may not be able to. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm seeing a couple more questions from Tanya on the questions and answers area. Okay, Tanya, what can I say I see when the behavior is silent, looks, rudeness, non-compliance? Well, Tanya, is that between rudeness or non-compliance? Because you might say, I see you're giving her an angry look. I see that your face looks like you're rolling your eyes. I see that you aren't, you don't want to talk right now and you're not answering, right? You can say what you see on their face or in their behavior. I see you shrugging your shoulder. I see you're turning away. I see you stamping your foot, right? And this is actually really important because it teaches children to be aware of body language, okay, of how they're showing each other something. So if a sibling, you know, says something in a rude voice, I might deconstruct with them really slowly, really gently, the idea that you, sorry, I just got distracted by Jacqueline. Really gently, the idea that the way you say something and what you say has an impact on someone else. So I might say to my son, you know, when you say, I got a big one, you know, sweetie, I'm so happy for you that you got a big one. But can you hear? Just tell me if you can hear this. Can you hear how if you say, that might be a little bit braggy for the other person? Can you hear how that might make him feel a little bit like he didn't get a big one? Can you hear that? Because I think that might make him feel not so good, right? Okay, so you can deconstruct with them how their tone of voice, how their body language is impacting the other person. Tanya, okay, Jacqueline is having trouble registering for present play. Let me just link here in the actual chat. The link to the, do you know what, everybody? I'm so sorry, but we've given you the wrong link. Some of you are having trouble with it, and we've actually given you the wrong link. Tamara, would you mind going and grabbing the latest link for the sign-up page, the one that everybody's been using this time around, because I can see that the other one isn't working. Okay. Yes, welcome to all the new Present Play members. Super excited to have you all here. Guys, I do want to read out what Tamara just shared because it's a point of great pride for me in this community. We have members in Present Play from all over the world. This kind of community of people who are embracing peaceful, playful parenting could not have happened, 20 years ago. We have people from India, Scotland, Iceland, Wales, Australia, France, South Africa, Italy, Norway, Switzerland, England, Serbia, Germany, New Zealand, Spain, Israel, Denmark, Bolivia, and from all over Canada and the United States, including Alaska. And we know that we've missed others as well. Isn't that phenomenal? So it's all these hundreds of parents getting together to support each other through tantrums, through sibling rivalry, through decluttering, through playful ideas, all of that stuff, really, really giving each other deep support. Tanya, I'm glad that registered resonated for you. And you also asked me another question. What if there is a completely fair solution and one child is continuously saying no, no, no? Well, this is where we come into the idea that fairness is up to the child, right? If one child is saying no, 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 then they don't experience that as fair. And fairness is about every child getting their needs met. Okay, it's not about them getting the same. Okay, so every child has different needs, and we need to offer them to get their needs met, not necessarily the same. We think of fairness as each one getting 20 minutes, each one getting a red one, each one getting 3 M&Ms. But fairness is actually when we are equally empathic and when we care equally about each person's needs. So we need to rethink what fairness means. And if one child is saying no, 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 then we're still problem solving, right? We're still coming up with ideas. And if they're really saying no, like forever, like they're not willing to engage in the conflict, problem solving process, then we need to step back a little bit and say, hey, I see that you're not ready. I see you're not ready to figure this out. So until you're ready, let's press pause on this, and we're going to all take a bath and we're going to talk about it again afterwards, that kind of thing. Because we need everybody there to be ready to talk, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. Okay, guys, I have a few more minutes. I can stay on for a few more questions if there are any. I'm so sorry to all of you who could not click through because their link was wrong. If you are ready to join, Tamara has just shared a new link. And a huge welcome to all of you who have already joined. Very excited to see you all there. Tracy, I thought that the membership was available until Thursday. Do I have that right? Yes, Tracy. Thursday is going to be the very last day to join for a good few months yet to come. I don't know when it will be available again, and it will not be available at this price again because so much more content is coming in. So if you want to join, now is definitely the time to do so. And you have until Thursday. You will also have a PayPal option on the checkout page. So if that's helpful. Okay. Judith, what do you do when the oldest just won't let the youngest talk? He won't listen and keeps talking. Okay, so Judith, it's just really a point of practicing, okay? So we show our child through our own modeling and through how we listen to them. We say, okay, I see you have so much to say. I just want to make it clear that we're going to listen to you until you're done. And then I'd like you to sit and listen until, whoever it is done. Okay. And then we listen as much as we can. And then we say, okay, is there anything else you want to add? Is there anything else you want to add? Okay. You seem done. Now let's listen to, your sibling. And that's how we keep on facilitating this idea that we listen and listen and listen. Welcome, Claudia. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, guys, any further questions? I have received a couple of questions about the membership today. Okay, Tracy, I'm going to answer you in just one moment. A couple of questions about the membership. One question was, how long does the course run for? So this is a little bit of a common question that we get. The course is ongoing for as long as it's doing well and everybody's enjoying it and there's a vibrancy to it, we'll continue running it. It's going to... Sorry, I'm just reading. Okay, it's going to be a monthly subscription, so you pay month by month, and you can leave at any time. That's completely guilt-free. You can leave. You will pay for as long as you stay, and you will have access to the content for as long as you stay. So that's in answer to that question. Another question I'm getting asked is, what ages is it for? So I would say 10 and under. This isn't for preteens and teens, although of course everything that we're talking about here is applicable. But if you have children that are in their babies, toddlers, preschoolers, young elementary school kids, this will be perfect for them. Okay, Tracy, one last question. My son seems to default to I'm telling. When my son is upset, he defaults to I'm telling. How can I break the cycle? I offer help, but he insists on telling. Telling you, like telling on someone? Is that what you mean? I'm assuming that you mean like I'm going to tell mom on you, right? So I think it's important to help kids to learn that in our family, you can always tell an adult. We're not going to be angry with the other kids. You're not going to make us a punishment for the other child by telling us, right? When my son says, I'm going to tell on, Liam, or I'm going to tell my friend or whatever, then I say to him, well, if you need help from an adult with solving it, then definitely you should tell the adult. But if you're trying to tell to get the other kid in trouble or to make the other kid scared, then that's not kind. So it's really about, why are you telling, right? Why are you telling? You're always invited to get help. Oh, you came to tell me? Thank you so much for telling me. That's useful information and I'm happy to help. Right? So that's how I would handle it, Tracy. And just really reiterating for your son that it's fine to tell, but no one's getting in trouble. It's not like a power trip. I'm telling, and now the adult's going to come down like a ton of bricks on the other kid. Okay, guys. So I think that we have concluded this wonderful session. Thank you so much for everybody who has joined. Thank you to the tens of new members who have recently joined our Present Play community and the hundreds of members who are already there and making it what it is. Another question. I can't resist answering you, Laura, quickly. What do you do when the 4-year-old gets hyper and starts poking, bothering, hitting his sibling, both older, 11 and younger, 2 siblings. Okay, so a hyper 4-year-old probably needs to get moving. They need to play rough and tumble. They need to get outside. They need to jump. So I would really try to redirect those energies into a constructive game. Hey, let's go on roughhouse. Let's play tickling. Let's play dinosaurs. Let's climb a tree. Let's jump on a trampoline. You look like you need a walk. Let's get outside, right? Usually those kind of little aggravating behaviors are just an agitation, a jumpiness that children are feeling cooped up and they really just need some sensory release. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you once more, and a huge welcome to the new members. I'm excited to get to know you better and to carry on this journey together. Bye.